In the southern part of South Korea, more than 100 people have been treated for heat-related illness at the World Scout Jamboree. Over 40,000 scouts are there, the vast majority of them teenagers. Temperatures nationwide have hovered this week between 33 and 38 degrees Celsius, and authorities have raised a weather warning to the highest possible level for the first time in 4 years. Let's get more now with journalist Jennifer Moon, who's joining us from Seoul. So heat waves are spreading across Asia. How unusual is this type of weather for South Korea, where you are?
Now, what I can tell you is that in the last nearly 2 decades of my job here in South Korea, I've never really experienced such scorching weather. Now, it's so severe that the government has issued the most severe heat warning in 4 years, as temperatures in some parts of this country exceed 38 degrees Celsius. Now, to put that into context, if I can give you some weather data that was collected between 1985 and 2022, the average temperature during this time of the year last year and during those years was about 26 to 27 degrees Celsius. So you can now see how hot it is here in South Korea this year in particular.
What are the experts saying? I mean, do they chalk this up to climate change? And how is the government planning to adapt to it?
Now, what I can tell you is that South Korea has never been prepared for this kind of scorching weather conditions, and thus the infrastructure here is nowhere adapt for a hot weather like this. The government has announced that it will pour in about $4.6 million to cope with this heat-related disasters this time around, but the specifics of which we do not know yet. As for the experts, they do blame global warming and climate change and carbon emissions to this, as they say that there's no other way to explain this unusual phenomenon.
We've seen extreme weather events rising across the region. Is South Korea coordinating with its neighbors on response and adaptation?
What I can tell you is that South Korea, China, and Japan has had a consultative group on combating climate change since about 5 to 6 years ago. However, that was never geared towards these recent heat-related events, and not for immediate responses. In fact, that was for the UN goal of keeping the temperatures at a certain level by 2030. So I cannot say that there is a specific coordination going on between regional partners at this time.
Journalist Jennifer Moon joining us from Seoul. Thank you so much. Well, meanwhile, in other parts of the region, Japan, Taiwan, and China are bracing for further damage from Typhoon Khanun, which already showed its force on Wednesday. The region is still recovering from last week's typhoon, Doksuri, with most of the damage done in mainland China. In fact, this is the third major storm to hit the region in the past 3 weeks, events that scientists say are being exacerbated by climate change.
This is Typhoon Khanun in action on Wednesday. And this is the immediate aftermath. Since then, the Japanese island of Okinawa has been assessing the damage. Khanun took the lives of at least 2 residents and injured more than 60. There will be a lot of work for emergency services in the coming days, with many damaged buildings, uprooted trees, and even toppled statues. Similar scenes have been filmed in Taiwan, where cities, including the capital Taipei, closed businesses and schools in preparation for the storm. Metro and ferry services have been suspended and dozens of flights were cancelled. The island's weather bureau is considering Khanun to be the second strongest typhoon level. It is expected to hit Taiwan's northern part late on Thursday before making a sharp U-turn northeast towards Japan's main islands. Forecasts say Khanun may also hit parts of the east coast of China, which is still reeling from the earlier typhoon, Doksuri. In Beijing, which last week recorded its heaviest rainfall since records began 140 years ago, rescue operations are still underway. Authorities have deployed boats to bring people from flooded areas to safety. Typhoon Khanun is not expected to reach China's capital region, but it's put many more people across the region on high alert.